Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite a document in front of us today.
We certainly do.
We're diving into the National Unity Platform's, or NUP's, 2026-2031 Manifesto. It's called A New Uganda Now.
Right. And our goal here, just to be clear, is to unpack it impartially. We're looking at the policy ideas, the problems they say they're solving.
Based on the 11 priorities they've laid out, it's a pretty comprehensive roadmap.
It is. And it starts by diagnosing what they see as a foundational crisis.
Yeah, the preamble doesn't really pull any punches. It talks about turbulence, broken promises. This feeling of betrayal comes up a lot.
It sets a very serious tone. They're positioning this as more than just policy. It's framed as a necessary reset for the entire nation.
And the stats they lead with in the executive summary, they've really paint a picture.
They do. They're meant to grab your attention right away. For instance, you need to understand they state over 7.3 million Ugandans are living below the absolute poverty line.
7.3 million. That's a huge number, just struggling for basics.
Exactly. And that obviously holds back the whole country.
Then there's the youth situation. This one really jumped out at me.
The unemployment figure.
Yeah. 50.9% of young people, 18 to 30s, aren't in school, aren't working, aren't in training, just idle.
Half the generation. It's presented as, well, a ticking time bomb economically and socially.
Absolutely. And then the money side of things looks pretty bleak too, according to the manifesto.
Very bleak. They mention corruption draining over 10 trillion shillings every year.
10 trillion, it's hard to even picture that amount. Money that could be going elsewhere.
Precisely. And then there's the public debt, stated to have hit just 116.21 trillion by June 2025.
Which is over half the GDP, right? About 51%.
That's right. So you have this squeeze, massive debt, massive corruption. It sets the stage for why they're calling for such, well, radical changes.
Okay, that makes sense of priority one then. Restoring freedom and constitutionalism. What's the main issue they have with the rule of law? It sounds like they feel the system's been undermined.
That's the core argument. They allege this sort of steady decline in democracy, driven by power becoming too centralized.
How so?
They point specifically to changes made to the 1995 Constitution over the years, claiming it's grown from 216 articles to 295, mostly through amendments they say serve specific interests, not the public.
So the rulebook itself kept changing to keep power in certain hands.
That's the allegation. And they highlight key moments.
Like the term limits.
Exactly. The removal of presidential term limits and age limits, too. They even cite a 2017 survey suggesting 85% of Ugandans were against those changes. So they argue these weren't popular moves.
Okay, so that's the problem they see. What are the specific fixes they propose? This is where it gets concrete.
Right. First, simple promise. Reinstate both presidential term and age limits. Put those checks back in place.
Okay.
Second, and this is quite significant for legal rights, amend the UPDF Act. That's the Army's Act.
To do what?
To stop civilians from being tried in military courts. They say this undermines the regular justice system. They even mention names like Dr. Kitsabesigi, Eddie Mutwe.
As examples of civilians who faced military justice.
Correct. Which, as you know, has different rules, different protections than civilian courts.
A really key point. Military courts for military personnel.
That's the principle. And the third big institutional change is about the Electoral Commission, the EC.
How would they change that?
They want to take the power to appoint EC members away from the president.
And give it to who?
To Parliament, plus some kind of independent vetting body. The idea is to make the EC genuinely independent, not looking over its shoulder at the executive.
Okay, that's a pretty major overhaul of the political rules. But like we said, the financial picture is urgent. Let's jump straight to priority 2. Ending corruption and wasteful expenditure. This section had some jaw-dropping numbers.
It really does. They use comparisons to make the point. You see the priorities starkly.
At the vehicles?
Yeah. Exactly. The manifesto states the president has over 600 vehicles. 600.
Okay.
Now, compare that, they say, to the number of working ambulances across the entire public health system.
Which is?
About 178.
Wow. 600 cars for one office versus less than 200 ambulances for, 45 million people?
When you put it like that,
yeah,
it makes the abstract numbers very real. It shows the trade-offs being made, consciously or not.
Yeah, every extra SUV potentially means a life lost waiting for an ambulance. And it's not just vehicles, is it?
No, it's systemic, they argue. They point to the size of the State House staff, 761 just at the office, nearly 1,000 domestic staff at the residence.
So much spending.
And the result? They say debt servicing, just paying interest and principal on loans, now eats up 57% of the whole national budget.
57%. Over half the budget gone before you even talk about schools or hospitals?
That's the figure they give for FY 2024-25. UGX 41.7 trillion. They argue this kind of spending directly starves essential services.
So the fixes must be drastic then. What do they propose to cut?
They promise some big cuts in the cost of running the government itself. First, slash the cabinet size. Maximum 20 ministers.
20. That's a big reduction.
Significant, yeah, aimed at efficiency. Second, get rid of what they see as redundant political jobs. RDCs, RCCs.
Resident district and city commissioners, often seen as political posts rather than administrative necessities.
That's the common critique.
Hmm.
And crucially, for accountability.
How do they plan to tackle the corruption itself?
They propose a dedicated public integrity court.
A special court just for corruption.
Yes. The idea is to fast-track these cases, cut through delays, and really focus on getting stolen money back. It implies the current system isn't working fast enough or effectively enough.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Priority 3 talks about national unity and ending sectarianism. How does that connect to the financial issues?
They argue it's deeply connected, that the corruption isn't just theft, it's often intertwined with favoritism, particularly regional and ethnic bias in who gets government jobs.
So it's not just about stolen money, but stolen opportunity, too. That must damage national trust.
Hugely corrosive, yes. And they provide data. Again, we're reporting what the manifesto states, claiming Western Uganda hold 40% of top government agency jobs.
Compared to?
Compared to just 12% for the northern region. That kind of disparity, they argue, fuels division.
And they also mention past conflicts, right? Unresolved issues.
Yes, a striking statistic. 83.76% of victims from past violence or conflicts haven't received adequate compensation or support. Still waiting.
So what's the plan? Heal the past and fix the future.
Kind of. For the past, a National Truth, Reconciliation, and Accountability Commission. For the future, this idea of blind recruitment for public service jobs.
Blind recruitment, meaning?
Removing names, maybe identifying details from applications initially, so hiring is based purely on merit, not connections or background.
Interesting. And they also tackle salaries within the public sector. There's a huge gap mentioned.
Oh, definitely. This example really stands out.
Yeah.
A director in a ministry might earn, say, ESHA's $2.3 million a month. But a deputy director over at KCCA, the Kampala Authority, could be earning ESHA's $27 million a month.
27 million versus 2.3 for similar level roles.
Almost 12 times the pay. You can imagine the resentment and, well, inefficiency that breeds.
So what's the big idea to fix that? It sounds almost impossible.
It's ambitious. They propose capping the pay ratio. The highest paid public servant shouldn't earn more than 10 times the lowest paid, a 10.1 ratio cap.
10 to 1. That's
Yeah.
a massive intervention. It would reshape the entire public sector pay structure. Raises questions about attracting top talent versus social equity, I suppose.
It's a huge policy lever they're proposing to pull. Very dramatic.
Okay, moving to priority 4. Equal access to quality public services, health, education, water. The needs sound immense here.
They really do. In health, they state 82 districts don't have a single properly equipped public general hospital. 82.
That's a lot of districts without basic hospital care and education.
Despite universal primary education being policy, the funding per pupil is called laughable. UGX, $20,000 per year.
20,000 shillings. For a whole year. What's that in dollars? Like less than $6.
Roughly, yes. Per student, per year. It's almost impossible to imagine running a school effectively on that.
And just basic survival needs. Water, sanitation.
The figure cited is 38 million Ugandans lacking both safe drinking water and a safe toilet. Huge numbers.
So the solutions have to be big, too.
They are. Boost health spending to 15% of GDP. That's the Abuja Declaration target. Practical things, too, like free sanitary pads for all schoolgirls.
Addressing period poverty directly.
Yes. And on water, radically slash the cost in urban areas. Down to maybe 10 shillings for a 20-liter jerry can, basically making it affordable for everyone.
That focus on basics leads nicely into priority 6. This one caught my eye, the public school feeding program. It's clever.
It is quite clever, isn't it? It links two problems.
Feeding kids in school, which is obviously good for learning.
Right, hot meals for primary kids in public schools,
Yeah.
boosts attendance, concentration, but the key is the sourcing.
It's homegrown.
Exactly. The food has to be bought locally from smallholder farmers, managed through empowered PTAs, Parents-Teachers Associations.
So the government creates a guaranteed market for local farmers.
Precisely. It turns a social welfare cost into an agricultural stimulus package. And they link it to tackling the 57% food insecurity rate mentioned elsewhere. Very integrated thinking.
Okay, let's talk pure economics now. Priority 5, create 10 million new jobs by 2032. That sounds incredibly ambitious.
It is a huge number, especially given that 50.9% youth inactivity rate we talked about.
So where are these 10 million jobs supposed to come from?
It's heavily focused on specific sectors. Manufacturing is expected to deliver 60% of them.
60% from manufacturing. How?
The plan involves developing at least 30 industrial parks by 2030. They project these parks and their supply chains will generate 6 million jobs.
Okay, what else?
Tourism is the next big word, targeted for about 25% of the jobs, so maybe 2.5 million. And then sports and the creative economy make up the rest, around 15%.
And for tourism specifically, what's the plan to get those 2.5 million jobs?
Big funding increase planned tenfold in the first year for infrastructure, marketing. And they want to review the fees for things like gorilla trekking.
To make it cheaper.
Possibly, or just more competitive, to attract higher volumes of tourists.
Right. Okay, next, priority 7 is about land. Land security seems to be a major issue, with less than a third of adults having secure tenure.
Yes, only 30.7% according to the manifesto. And land grabbing is portrayed as a massive source of conflict and instability.
So how do they propose to tackle that? It seems like a really difficult problem.
They're looking at both traditional and very modern solutions. On the traditional side, establishing a national customary land registry.
To formally recognize land held under customary systems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then there's the tech angle,
Which is
using blockchain technology for land registration.
blockchain for land titles, like cryptocurrencies use.
Sort of, yeah. The idea is to create a tamper-proof, transparent digital ledger of land ownership to make fraudulent transfers much harder.
That is genuinely innovative for tackling something like land grabbing.
It is. And they pair that tech fix with promising strict penalties for illegal land grabs, specifically naming investors, officials, elites who engage in it.
Okay, nearly there. Let's wrap with priority 11, transforming Uganda into a tech-driven economy. What's holding that back, according to NUP?
It really boils down to two things: costs and freedom.
Cost of what?
Internet access. It's cited as being way too expensive. $2.67 per gigabyte, they say, which is much higher than neighbors like Kenya or Rwanda.
Making it hard for businesses, for students, for everyone.
Exactly. And that's reflected in low ICT exports, just 0.15% of the total. The potential isn't being tapped.
And the freedom part.
That refers to politically motivated internet shutdowns. These are explicitly called out as damaging to the economy and basic rights.
So the promises here are financial and legal.
Pretty much, financially. Cut the cost of internet in half within 5 years, legally.
Yeah.
Pass a Digital Freedom Act to ban those political shutdowns. Make connectivity reliable and affordable.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot there. For you, the listener, absorbing all this, what's the big picture takeaway? The NUP manifesto is this incredibly detailed critique, isn't it?
It really is. A critique of everything from, the Constitution itself down to the cost of water and the number of potholes.
And the central argument seems to be
That the way the country is currently governed, the cost of it, the corruption, the debt, is directly preventing progress in all those basic areas.
yeah.
Health, education, jobs, water. One is causing the other.
And the solutions are just as broad. A total reset, fiscally and constitutionally. Big focus on human capital, resource management.
Right, using both standard policy levers like that 10.1 pay cap idea and some really quite innovative things like the homegrown school feeding or using blockchain for land. It's definitely a blueprint for a major overhaul.
So thinking about everything we've discussed, all the interconnected problems they describe,
Corruption, weak institutions, centralized power, lack of services.
it leaves us with a question for you to think about. Given how deep-seated these issues are presented to be, which of the NUP's 11 priorities may be constitutional reform first, or tackling corruption head-on, or maybe focusing on social services like health and education? Which one do you think would need to come first to actually unlock real sustainable change in the way this manifesto envisions?